Experts say that around 1 in 3 patients admitted hospital in the UK with COVID-19 have died, and that underlines the need for new treatments for coronavirus. But several existing medicines for other conditions are undergoing trials in the world's biggest study of potential treatments, as our medical correspondent Fergus Walsh tells us now.
What would the world give for a cure for coronavirus? It has turned hospital wards into alien landscapes. Staff at Addenbrooke's in Cambridge must be shielded from the highly infectious virus. Patients like Peter, who's 89, must rely on oxygen, the one thing known to help.
I was fighting for breath. It's very bad. That was on about day 3. I couldn't breathe.
The toll on individuals and their families has been enormous.
Did you feel that it might at one point take you away?
Yes. At my age, everybody said it would.
Oh, you're doing so well. You are, no, you are.
Peter is part of a national trial which is examining 5 drugs used for other conditions to see if they work for coronavirus.
I'm not in any pain, but I'm just so weak.
Right.
Until they get results, doctors have limited options.
So it's extraordinarily difficult to watch a large number of patients get so incredibly unwell and know that we have no therapies anywhere in the world that are proven to be efficacious. It means that there's an urgent health need to do research in this space so that we can understand what treatments work and what don't.
Drugs for HIV and malaria are being tried to see if they can help stop the virus replicating in the body. Other patients are being given treatments to reduce inflammation and dampen the immune system, which can go haywire.
Yes.
Jeff, who's 60, has had cancer. He can't shake off coronavirus after being infected 6 weeks ago.
Twice I've been treated with chemo, twice I've had full remissions, and the last one was only end of last year. And then, wham, you get this.
He signed up for 2 clinical trials.
What's the point in coming into hospital, be pumped full of all sorts of things, and nobody really knows what there is? Okay, it probably won't help me, but it might help people that follow behind me.
The first results of the trials could come as early as June.
It'll be here at the Big Data Institute in Oxford that the trial results will be analysed. In a little over a month, around 8,000 patients from nearly 170 hospitals throughout the UK have been enrolled in what is the biggest clinical study in the world into COVID-19 treatments.
At the peak, we were enrolling 400 patients a day.
Lessons have been learned from the swine flu pandemic, when experimental treatments were not properly assessed.
The best example is the 2009 pandemic, where tens of thousands of patients were treated with drugs outside of clinical trials, and we didn't get any results. We can't afford to do that again. We need to know what works for COVID-19, and so these trials, I think, are critically important.
You got anything you need, Willow?
Don't expect a cure, but even a treatment that is partially effective could save thousands of lives and pave the way for other, better medicines.
And Fergus is with me now. Clearly and understandably, there is intense interest in the progress that scientists and others are making in this area. So how would you sum up where we are in terms of the search for a cure?
Well, none of the doctors or scientists I've spoken to is expecting a magic bullet, something that will stop coronavirus in its tracks for the majority of patients. It's great that the trials are underway, but they are trialling drugs that will develop for other conditions. Now, what we should hope for, perhaps, is a moderate effect from those if they are successful. Say something that reduced mortality by 20%. It may not sound much, but in the UK that could save thousands of lives. Now, in the US tonight, there are some early results from an antiviral drug originally developed for Ebola, which are being hailed, which seem to suggest that it's cut the duration of symptoms in patients with coronavirus from 15 to 11 days. But it comes off the back of some other data that suggested that it didn't work. And that's why these trials are so important. We've got to wait for them to come through in the coming months. And then, of course, we've got to wait for the dozens of vaccines that are in development. So it's going to be a long haul.
Fergus, once again, many thanks. Fergus Walsh, our medical correspondent.